Hello everybody, this is Julia and I'm back with another project featuring the new products which will be released by Casual Fridays, July 16th, 2016. Today's project is featuring a stamp and die set called Sleigh Ride, and I hope you can see that there is a huge sleigh in that stamp set. Of course you have matching dies, and your stamp set will come, properly stamped with the labels. This is just one for the design team that Michelle had to get out to us, so we didn't get one that had all the labels stamped on them, so you see how the stamps look like. So yours is going to be perfect. I'm starting out with a panel that is 1/2 inch smaller than an A2 sized card, and I just used my pencil to create some lines here to help me. And I'm using painter's tape to mask off some areas, or this border, so I won't stamp on it. And you saw me using the painter's tape on my arm simply to make sure it's not very tacky anymore, so it won't rip the paper later on. I used my T-square ruler to draw a diagonal line. I'm placing the sentiment stamp there, and I figured out that the sentiment stamp was about the width of my ruler, so I'm lining up the bottom line with the line I already drew, and then I'm drawing the top line because I didn't have a triangle to create a proper parallel line. Oh, my math teacher or geometry teacher from school would have been so proud of me that I still remember that. Anyhow, so I am stamping the sentiment. If you hear funny noises, there is the European Soccer Championship is just going on, and I think, what was it, Italy just won, so all the Italian people here in Stuttgart are celebrating. So if you hear funny noises, it's the Italians, but they won, well deserved. Anyhow, back to the video here. So I'm going to stamp this repeatedly. What I did is I took it off the MISTI, I put it onto an acrylic block, and now I'm cleaning it in my scrubbing tool. This is the Hero Arts scrubbing tool, and I'm using the Hero Arts spray, and I'm cleaning it off because I have to place the stamp back here on my card base to stamp it again. I want to create a strip that is filled with the sentiment. So I stamped it here, and I'm using VersaFine black ink, which is a pigment ink, but it's very rich and nice and black, so it's absolutely awesome. And I repeated this on the left and on the right just to make sure I filled in the space. So when the words or the letters are cut off, it will really look as if there is some kind of frame. So that's completely okay that it's cut off. I wanted this effect. Okay, now I have this original panel here off to the right, and I'm checking where the bottom of this top line starts, and I'm just transferring this over to this panel, which will go on front here. Okay, this is the bottom where the top line starts, and this is where the top line ends, right there, and I'm marking this. I'm removing this, and now I'm going to use my ruler to connect these two lines. And what this will do is it will allow me to cut this piece apart and make sure that it will fit perfectly into the or onto the top part of my card front. You'll see that in a minute here. So I cut this apart, and here you can see it perfectly fits and it has the right angle. That's why I transferred the starting point and the end point of that line. And I'm going to repeat this with the bottom part. So you can see here it fits perfectly. And now I lined this up again. And of course I lined it up so I have some empty space at the bottom so I can create this frame illusion. Lining up the ruler with the bottom of the bottom line and then moving it up to the top of the bottom line where it ends, and making my pencil dots, connecting them with the ruler, and then using my trimmer again to trim this off, and of course it fits. You know what, if I could have done this in school, I would have aced geometry. As it were, I almost failed it, but you know what, this is so much easier when you're like an adult. Anyhow, so I'm stamping these bells here, because like jingle bells, jingle bells. I'm not gonna sing, don't worry. I'm not gonna do this to you. And I actually, I had always wanted to color the ribbon in red, and for some reason I started out with blue, and at some point I was like, what am I doing? Why am I coloring this in blue? So stamping it again, and you can see here that on the knot I'm actually leaving a tiny white border, and I'm going to leave a tiny white space here for the highlight. and I'm filling in that border with the lightest of my reds, and it just gives it a little bit more of a dimension. Sometimes I remember those details while I'm coloring, and I'm actually, you know, able to, you know, create properly, because oftentimes I'm like, afterwards I'm like, oh, you know, I should have done this. Yeah, so this time it worked. I'm actually surprised it worked that well. I was very distracted when I made this card because we had a huge thunderstorm come through, and you know, that's thunder that is so loud that it literally like gives you an adrenaline jump. So that's what was going on while I was creating this card. So I was always like I was like coloring that. Yeah, sorry. So anyhow, there are matching dies, of course, for there are more people celebrating outside. Okay, so I mounted the panels that I cut on top of my card base, and now I'm going to use some Tombow mono adhesive to adhere this die cut. And I had to make sure when I created this opening that it would be not too wide, because I have to somehow adhere this. You could of course use foam tape from the bottom, but I really wanted this to float, so it's just hanging on to these two panels. And then in these empty spaces, I'm adding some glitter with my Stardust gel pen, because everybody needs a Stardust gel pen. Seriously guys, Stardust gel pens from Sakura are amazing. Everybody needs one. If it's your birthday, tell your crafty friends that you want one for your birthday. If it's Christmas or whatever, get Stardust gel pens. Everybody needs one. And then I'm also using a jelly white gel pen for adding just a tiny white highlight here on these bells. And here's a close-up of these bells. I even added some glossy accents once the Stardust glitter had dried, just to add some dimension and extra glossiness to this bow and the bells. And here you can see how nice it looks. Something exploded, or somebody celebrating, or there is a thunderstorm again. And I added some gold star confetti sequins by Pretty Pink Posh, just for a tiny little accent. So I hope you got inspired. Check out the new products when they become available July 16th. Don't forget to hop on over to my blog, because I have a giveaway, and here are more videos for you to check out. Cheers!